Kidus and Commander X, and we're here for yet another episode of Pirate Radio. I have no idea what number it is. I haven't really planned that far ahead. I've been a little bit busy recently, which is kind of why we haven't done any more Pirate Radios as per usual. These two are always just like keen for it, and I just never can. So we've kind of missed a bit from the past 4 weeks, I think, like pre the season 14 playoffs and stuff like that. But I don't think we're going to bother talking about like the other two games that happened. The main thing we want to talk about, of course, is Epsilon versus Broder, the final that happened last Thursday. I'm pretty sure that both the other guys have watched it. I watched it, but I was quite drunk when I watched it, so I like don't remember that much of it. I know it was like a very close game and it went to 3 maps, all that jazz, but I don't actually know the results. Xavi, do you have the results of the 3 maps there?
Exactly knows things. Granary went 2-1 to Epsilon. Process went 4-3 to Broder, and then Snakewater went 3-2 to Epsilon.
So pretty much one of the closest finals we've had for quite a long time, I would say. Like,
Very long time.
Really, really interesting game. Do you want to talk about it, Cadus, like straight off the bat? Do you want to talk about what you thought of it? Like whether Broder have upped their game from before? Like where do you reckon they are?
Horrible feedback. Where's that coming from?
Is that me?
I don't know. But
Maybe.
it's so loud. I've literally got my headset like away from my head.
Are you getting it as well, Xavi?
I can hear it.
Alright, I'm gonna blag it and pretend it's not there. Yeah, the Broder game. I don't know. I think Epsilon weren't like they're 100% without Bash, but Broder definitely like stepped it up a shit ton. Mainly Rib. Like Rib was kind of like a shell of what he was like when the last time they played Epsilon. I don't think he's as good as some of the other demos still, but I think he definitely like held his own this time, and in some cases like put on a really good performance. But I don't know. I think with the full Epsilon, it wouldn't have been quite as close, but Broder definitely come on leaps and bounds.
Yeah,
Do you
fair
think
enough.
going into next season, then it's going to be a lot more even between Broder and Epsi through the actual season, rather than Epsi just stomping it and Broder lagging behind?
I don't want to get too carried away with this Broder thing. Like, I really don't think Broder are that far ahead of like CC, for example. I won't comment on us because we're basically a new team again. But I think you're getting carried away to say it's like a 2-horse race. Like, I think Broder are like, it was like a photo finish basically for Broder and CC. I know the match itself wasn't that close, but I don't think they're that far ahead of CC. I think I don't know, it's all getting closer like gradually. I've seen it over the time, to be honest. Like with Epsilon, you can never really tell. They can seem like they'll slip in or and then they just rape you.
Like, I think one of the major things with Epsilon at the moment is they like need hype around, like hype in their game to be able to play well. Does that make any sense to you guys? Like from what I've seen from listening to the Epsi comms sometimes, is that when they're just like playing and not really caring too much, they just lose. But when they just actually get into the game and get hyped around it, then they definitely like play a much closer game. And sometimes when it gets a bit edgy and that sort of final, maybe you lose a bit of the hype, especially when it's quite close. So maybe that's one of the reasons why they maybe slumped a little bit. I don't know. I don't think it was Epsilon slumping really. I always thought it was Broder playing better. Like,
Epsilon. Well, I don't know. For me, Bash is just so good. Like, Walters is good, but he was, as far as I'm concerned, Walters at his best isn't as good as Bash, and Walters was nowhere near his best. Like, he was like, I don't know. He stuck out like so many times, like getting picked like stupidly, just clearly like not quite in sync with them. And I think that, to be honest, the Epsilon scouts, aside from Mike being just ridiculous, the Epsilon scouts, like how smart they are and aware, and the general team play they have, I think that's really what sets them apart. Like, I know they got like all these assets like in Numlock, Nox, like the calling and this kind of shit, but really for me it's always been the scouts. So I think taking one of them out of the equation kind of really had like not a huge impact, but I don't know, I think it would have been
A
comfortable
noticeable impact.
because the thing is, like, it was close, yeah, between Broder and Epsi, but Cookie was like playing at like 25%. Like, for me, Broder shouldn't be able to really touch Epsilon if Cookie ain't firing on all cylinders, like, for me at least, like the way it seems. And at least on Granary, he was like all over the place, like losing every one-on-one, it seemed, and things like that. I don't know, it's quite far, it's kind of a while since I watched it, so I'm kind of talking out my ass, but I think it lives in Bash was like quite a bigger deal than it's been given, than has been given credit for.
Alright. Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, obviously that's a pretty massive thing between, Epsilon changing their scouts really, and Bash this season has been outstanding. I mean, he was always like, when you talk about German efficiency, like I feel Bash is one of those scouts that's just exactly that. Just he'll always just so consistent and always plays like that sort of same level, will never let you down whatsoever. And like obviously bringing Walters in, he's not played very recently at all. Like he's been playing in S2. That's a very very different game. So that's obviously a massive change between the two sides.
He gets overlooked so badly, like all the time. I feel like everyone always says he's good, but I don't think anyone ever really appreciates just how good he actually is, because he doesn't play like particularly arrogant. Like you'll see Stefan run in and just fucking duke 4 people, dance around them, giving it all that, and everyone's like, "Holy shit!" Like Stefan's amazing. Bash don't do that, but he's just as good. Like it's just in a different way. It's so much more subtle. He doesn't get near enough credit for it, in my opinion. Like people, obviously they give him credit because he's Epsilon, he's winning everything, but he's like a huge factor for them.
I think it doesn't
Huge.
help that he plays alongside Shockey. So if you're next
Yeah.
to Shockey, Shockey's always going to
Yeah.
be the main guy, no matter how good you are, really.
Yeah, like he has good kill sprees, he hits good shit, but he's not that flashy. But he's fucking good nonetheless.
Speaking of like how consistent Bash was, on the other end of the scale, Cookie had like one of his worst matches in quite a while. Like if Cookie had been on point throughout the entire like 3 games, I think Broder would have taken it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like Cookie's supposed to be like their carry, like maybe not carry, but he's supposed to be their best player, and he wasn't in that game. He wasn't close. Like I think if Cookie had actually been on his game, they would have won. But like really, the way they played, I don't really think they deserved to be like the Epsilon conquerors based on the performance of that game. I mean, they were good, but they weren't that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do understand that completely. But I think we've talked about the final quite a bit now. Like maybe we should talk about the other, BFF obviously coming fourth. You've changed a lot of your lineup before next season. We'll maybe cover that later rather than now. Your game versus CC obviously wasn't the biggest game, but like let's talk about the other game, the Broder versus CC game. From my point of view,
We didn't play CC, but fair enough.
oh, sorry, DO, you played Broder, of course. Sorry, yeah, my bad. You know what I mean. Like,
Minor details.
That's another thing though. That's worth pointing out. Like Broder beat everyone to get there. Like I was having a conversation with someone, like saying this system is unfair if Broder had won because they just had to beat Epsi. Like Epsi did everything in the season right and could have lost one match and lost everything. But like when you consider that Broder beat every playoff team apart from Epsilon, which they came fucking close to, like it's like hats off to Broder. It was like a good season.
Yeah, definitely. And I was like, from my point of view, CC are like Broder's bogey team. Does that make sense to you? I always feel that like CC's strategies is always like perfectly counter Broder's. And like obviously that game, Cookie just had like a blinding game. Like I think he got like a ridiculous amount of frags on both maps and like carried them through. And that's really what maybe was the like difference between Broder and CC there. Do you guys remember that game at all or not really?
I remember that it happened.
All right. Well, what did you? When I say Broder and CC, like CC is Broder's bogey team. Do you understand? Do you get what I mean by that?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Do you agree with it or not?
On some maps, I think. Like,
Okay.
like I've seen like for Granary, for example, I've seen them play Granary, and there's just nothing CC can do. Like they play back, they play forward, they play left, they play right. Like they can play anywhere on the map, and they just get categorically destroyed on the middles. But the thing about CC is they work so hard, like as a team outside of the games, to fix their mistakes. So it's like it's not so much they're like Broder's bogey team. It's just that they put that much thought into what they're doing, like more thought than any other team in probably the world, to be honest.
Really?
Maybe
Like some of the
probably.
American teams used to be really, really good and diligent about that, but do they not do it so much anymore?
Maybe like BP in America. Maybe they put more thought into it, but apart from them, I think there's no one that really thinks more about their game than CC. As a team, that is. Like, I mean, there are individuals, like I'm pretty fucking keen, like I'll watch demos and that kind of stuff, but as a team, like there's so many like people in CC that are thinking in that way. So I think that's
And
kind
just
of why
replace-
it looks like they are, because they know exactly what every team does, and they know what works and what doesn't. It's just the execution sometimes coming short.
All right, that's fair enough.
I think as well,
Uh,
especially in comparison to Broder, who just not wing it every time, but their play style is a lot more natural. Like Zebasai will just call something and they'll go for it. It won't really be a set play as such.
Yeah, like Zeb even
Everyone's-
said, like they had one tactic session this season. Like the rest was just kind of like after they realized they weren't playing quite that good, like over the season, they had like one tactic session going into the playoffs, and they just winged it from there basically. So like you can see like the difference in styles and how like CC could appear like they're Broder's bogey team, but really I think it's just we've seen them play Broder like under like more times, more circumstances, so it looks like that. But I think that's just something more about CC as a team.
Okay, that's fair enough. Should we mention the like decision that CC made? Because obviously they have the map the first and third map choices, and they decided to change their. Well, they tried to like make it look like they were going to play Process first, and then they decided to swap to Gully Wash and played that. And then some of them, like after the game, someone was saying that they should have picked Badlands instead. What do you think to that? So should they just pick Process, which is what everyone thinks is their home map? What do you think to that?
Just to interject, Greg, I think it's your mic that's causing the feedback. You might want to check like the connection of the wires. But going into what you said, I think definitely they should have. They should definitely pick their strong map first because momentum in TF2 is like such a big thing. I think they completely undervalued it in that game. Like Broder didn't even try to win Process. Like they just expected to lose it and they went on to win it, and that is strictly down to momentum. CC losing it and Broder gaining it. Maybe it wouldn't have been different. Maybe Broder just played a blinder, and there's nothing CC could do to stop them on that day. But tactically, like they completely undervalued momentum, and I think it hurt them pretty bad. Yeah, like Vic even called it.
That's fair enough. I think we've pretty much mentioned everything we can over these the playoff games now. Obviously, congratulations to Epsilon. I haven't got the amount of money they've won written down here. Does anyone know what the money allocation is?
An amount of money.
An amount of money. They win the most amount of money. Broder win the second most amount of money. I think CC won some hardware, and that's not some hardware.
Wait, here we go. €495 for first place.
Holy
Boom.
smokes! Don't spend it all at once, gang.
Yeah, so that's pretty much ETF2 Season 14 over and done with, except for one major thing, guys. The ETF2L Awards, which we here at Pirate Radio will be hosting yet again. Unfortunately, tonight we don't have anything, like any of our details done yet. We've got our actual nominations.
Yeah, the categories
sorted. Yeah, we've got the categories sorted. That's the word I was looking for, Zavi. But we haven't actually asked anybody for their nominations yet. So that will be coming next episode, which the polls might already go up on ETF2L before that episode, before we start discussing why these three players or, from each category go through. We also have some categories which we won't be putting on ETF2L because they're censoring us a little bit this time around. I think they got a bit annoyed at some of our poll questions last time around.
Tarkus worst player of the season, 2K12.
So yeah, we'll still be having some of the fun categories, but unfortunately, you guys won't be allowed to vote on it. It won't go on ETF2L. It's just for our fun, basically. So that'll be coming in our next episode. I think we might be trying to do it on Sunday, but we're going to be talking about when we're doing it later tonight. So we did try and organise it earlier, but unfortunately, we all have different schedules, so I couldn't sort that out. Right. I think we should move on to the next season then, pretty much. Or do you guys want to cover I-49 before the next season? Where do you want to go? Let's do the next season, I think.
I don't know, let's talk about I-49 because it ties in with the Yank stuff, and the Yank stuff's happening before the next season.
Okay.
Let's do it chronologically.
Well, do you want to go into the I-49 stuff, Xavi or Kalis? You probably know more about it than me. Yes? No?
When you say know more about it, you're wrong.
Well, okay, basically, from what I understand, Team Fortress TV will be running a I-49 fundraiser for one of the Yank teams. This is obviously going to be the winner of ESEA, the next season of ESEA, which, when is the finals for that? Is that in a couple of weeks' time?
Wednesday,
I think it's
next week.
Next week, there you go. So do tune in to the next season of ESEA, you guys. Have all the finals for it. Obviously, the winner will be attending I-49 thanks to Team Fortress TV. They, for a fact, are going to be doing some sort of 24-hour stream at some point, which would be which would be trying to help the fundraiser out as well. I'm pretty sure. I don't know when that's going to be happening, but I know Enigma and Chaplin are talking about something. So please do tune in and donate to the Towards Yank fundraiser. We're just trying to get one team across, obviously, this time around. As for the other thing that's going on, the Prem teams, I think a lot of the Prem teams need a bit of money to get across.
Except for
Epsilon are sorted. They will be coming. I'm pretty sure, from what I understand, CC are going to be coming anyway, and they'll be sorted out by themselves.
CC are coming, but they're going to be doing some I think they are going to be accepting donations, but it's not quite in the same way as just begging for money.
They don't need to
I think they have merchandise and stuff like that, or something like that in the works, and they're going to be doing something with that to just kind of, because they're basically, for CC, it's basically they know they ain't getting the money back, so it's basically going to be someone paying out of pocket, like their manager or something like that. So I think they just want to do something to try and
lessen the blow to his wife.
Yeah, essentially that.
Okay.
So,
That's cool. What about what's a Broder doing? Do you guys know very much about that?
I think Broder are gonna have a full-fledged fundraiser starting up sometime pretty soon. In the next, like a week or two, like in the next month at least, they're gonna be starting a fundraiser of some sort.
And what about your team, Cadus BFF? What are your plans for it?
We'll be there.
You gonna try and get funds, or are you guys all gonna go off your own back, or what?
I know for a fact that like half of our team's UK now. Bevan can pay for himself. Haven't even spoken to Kyler like about LAN yet. Like we haven't even finalized our roster, so like we'll definitely be there. But
Okay.
we'll maybe like I'll use my stream like to try and gather a little bit of money like for like
Kyler
one
can
or two
stream
people.
as well, because
Yeah,
Kyler's like young, so he might have money problems.
I don't know. I don't even know if Kyler can go yet. Like that's how like fresh we are as a team at the moment. So like we'll be there for sure. Like don't know how we'll do it yet, but it'll definitely happen. I'm not worried.
Awesome. Something that I do want to mention here is that like I got approached by Infused to do a team for this LAN, like, and obviously I've told Andy that I can't do it and
Get
told him
dunked back.
to
Get
go
dunked
over
back.
to Broder or BFF. So we might see an Infused lineup attend I-49 literally for one event just because TF2 at the event is so huge and Andy knows that. So maybe one of these teams might be able to get in the Infused tent and try and do that. So yeah. Oh, and Cadus is now being very, very angry.
You
I've already
faggot!
told Zebo, mate. You're
Oh,
well behind the times.
You told Zebo first. Oh, you are such a
Yes.
faggot. What a faggot! Holy shite! Fuck that. We're like a UK team almost.
By which you mean
Right.
half
Sorry,
the
Beaver, you
team.
can't Greg.
For loosest
So-
definition of UK.
Is there anything else I-49 way related we want to talk about, guys? Do you have anything you guys want to talk about for it?
Someone,
What about
someone be in a team with me who's not awful, so I don't have an awful time.
Oh, I've just been
Okay.
given a nice little tidbit that apparently this is exactly what I've been told. TCM gave me a winky face on Twitter when I suggested taking on Broder. This is from someone that doesn't want to be named, I don't think, unless he then tells me that he does. So maybe
A winky
TCM
face on Twitter. That's better than a contract.
fighting for Maryland? Heard it here first. Kickoff of the season.
All right, that was Cube, by the way. He does want to be named. He wants to get his name out there, his branding out there, guys. Go watch his stream. It's brilliant. Let's talk about the next season then. Let's move on to that. We have a few teams that are going to be staying pretty much unchanged going into it, and then quite a few teams that folded obviously from last season, and then a lot of changes. As you've now heard in BFF, they're definitely making a lot of changes. But let's talk about Epsilon first. You've written down here that Epsilon are unchanged. I don't think they have confirmed that yet. I'm pretty sure
What
they're still talking about whether they're going to be having Mitzi or Gear
Oh.
on that
Obviously,
soldier.
Gear's back. Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure they're still talking about that. I haven't worked out what they want to do because, like, at the end of the season, Mitzi was actually really, really good on Pocket. Like, he really did impress me. So whether they actually changed, from my point of view, I think I'd say no. I think I'd keep it the current lineup personally. What do you guys think?
I'd change without a second thought. No offense to Mitzi, but Gear's really good.
Gear's
Well,
really good, but Mike's better on Roam than Gear.
But Gear can play Pocket as well. Do you not remember when Gear played Pocket in some match at some point recently?
Yeah,
I
but
think
it's
it
just
was
kind of
a
like
cup or something, but
yeah, you can, but why do it? Like you've never had him on Pocket before. I don't see the need to change. Like, because I'm not going to be funny. The Epsilon were better this season than they ever were with Gear. Like ever. I mean, they might not be down. Well, it's not down to Mitzi, but like, I don't see why
Sam
they'd.
just freeing up Mike, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't see why they'd fix it. Like, it's why change? They're fucking amazing. Like, I don't see why they would make any changes. To be honest, I mean, they might not hurt them at all, but I don't really see the need. I don't know. They got their own like personal relationships. Maybe they always said Gear will come back. If it was like a predefined plan, then I get it. But I don't see why they would do it like spur of the moment. And that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I would say keep Mitzi personally as well because like the Nox Mitzi bond is like as Pocket Medic is they're both French. They both played with each other for loads in like the French scene.
Except Mitzi's from Belgium.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. I'm saying fuck you, all right? Yeah, all right. Should I just leave now? Do you guys want to keep going without me? Does that sound better? Yeah. Fuck you, Zavi. Right.
bro.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
They both speak the same language.
I don't even know which part of Belgium Mitzi's from, so couldn't say.
I didn't know there were different parts of Belgium.
Yeah.
Yeah, they speak 3 languages in Belgium. Awesome. Right,
Whatever.
let's keep
Just
going
what's a
anyway. Let's
TF2
talk about
podcast, not a
Broder.
geography
No,
podcast.
let's keep talking about Belgian geography. That's great.
Let's talk about Broder instead. So, you guys have written down here, which I didn't know about, that Tech is apparently out. Is he leaving or being kicked? Do you
He's
even
fucking terrible, so they were just like, later, bro.
I'm available for next season, so I'm coming in as Roma. Is what's happened. They couldn't resist.
Now, what's going on is Tech can't go LAN, basically.
Oh,
So now Broder got their heart set on going to LAN. They only want a soldier that's going to go to LAN with them. He can't do it, so they're getting someone else for season 15. And to my knowledge, there's not going to be a punchline reform for LAN either, which could be something that will be on the cards as a result of that, but I don't think that will happen. I can't remember. Like, Zebo explained it to me, but Zebo just talks bollocks sometimes. I really couldn't make head or tail of what he said to me. All I could get out of it was Tech can't go to LAN with them, so they're getting a new soldier. He gave me some other explanation involving punchline, but I couldn't really derive the meaning from it. I don't know what he said.
All right, that's fair enough. So, replacements. Do you guys know anything?
hold on. Captain Hacks has just written in IRC, and that punchline is going to I-49 and
Okay.
including Tech, which is why Tech is
Oh,
There we
snap.
So that's
There
why
we
Tech
go.
can't play for Broder, is because he's playing for punchline instead.
Is that what Zeb said to me? I swear that's not what he said to me. Oh, no, fuck it. Carry on.
Maybe it's what he meant to say to you, but just used all the wrong words.
Nah, he can't go to I-49 for his parents, only if he goes with Captain Hacks, and P-Line won't go if Tech don't go, so then Tech can't go to I-49. Word for word is what he said. Like,
Okay, I understand, right? Basically, Tech can only go if Captain Hacks goes, so, like, whether they're driving together or something like that. And then Captain Hacks is only going to go if the full punchline team goes.
Yeah, the
So-
problem with this sentence is not a single fucking comma in it, so it's just like put into writing.
Right. So he did actually explain it quite well. You just didn't read very well.
Well, yeah,
So who's replacing Tech? Let's talk about this. Talk on topic, guys. Come on.
it'll be Jukebox.
Jukebox. Is that confirmed or is that just like up in the air, sort of?
He's their backup, and Zeb thinks he's one of the best roamers in the game, which isn't
pretty
too far.
sick.
Which isn't too far from the truth, really. So I don't see why they'd go anywhere else.
Fair enough.
I
pretty
don't-
much agree with that as well.
Yeah, like, I mean, maybe it doesn't work. Maybe Duke decides he doesn't want to play full time, which is something he's done before. If that happens, I don't know what the fuck they'll do, to be honest. Maybe Zeb on Rome and like Mitzi on Pocket if he gets ditched by Epsi. I don't know. Like, I couldn't really.
Well,
I
if Gear
couldn't.
doesn't get picked up again, maybe Gear in on Rome.
Can't see Gear playing.
It'd be a weird fit, yeah.
I mean, I don't think Mitsu would be that great a fit either, but I'm just I'm thinking outside the box, like, because I don't really know where they could turn if
Hox.
if they,
People keep
Hawks-
writing Namu in chat.
Really?
yeah, okay.
When was the last time
They're-
Namu played TF2?
They're clearly being serious. Okay,
I want Namu back.
right, that's great.
All right, I think that's enough for Brodo. I'm pretty sure sounds like Jukebox would be their replacement. If anything does happen, we'll let you know, obviously, on our upcoming episodes. BFF, why don't you just go into everything, Cadus? I have no idea what's happened to your team now. All this written down
play.
stuff.
Kind of plays is like crack, man. When you start, you just can't stop. So yeah. So Hawks couldn't play him enough, basically. He could only play like one in every 2 weeks, and for a team that are trying to that are chasing the competition, it's just not enough. Like,
Okay.
I mean, I kind of cut him, I guess, but I think it's kind of mutual. Like, it's just one of those things you accept. You can't play enough, so yeah. I mean, if he was on Epsi or something, one in 2 weeks would probably be enough. But when you're chasing the competition, you're that far behind. Like, it won't do to have like a Merc every week. Hat quit. No explanation other than he is Hat.
He might be
Standard
back in time
thing,
for land
basically.
then, knowing Hat.
Yeah. Like, you can guess like what he said. Like, I don't know. He's got his reasons. Didn't exactly come as a surprise. I actually predicted it the night before it happened. He'd been offline for 2 days, and like the last time he did that, he quit a team the week later. So I was like, he's gonna quit on Monday. I can feel it if he even shows up. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah, he just had like, he twos and throws with his enjoyment for the game. Like, no hard feelings. Like, sometimes he likes it, sometimes he doesn't. And our team wasn't exactly the most fun team to play for as a medic last season. So like, no hard feelings there. Just maybe could a little bit more transparent with it. Like, anyway. Yeah. So once Hat quit, I somehow felt I just caught onto the fact that Kyler was available because his team had fell through, and I rate Kyler as One of the best scouts. Probably he's not not one of the best scouts in the game yet. He's still a bit too fresh, but he will be one of the best scouts in 3 months, 2 months, whatever. He'll
Is
be
Once
your
he
word
goes
of
in
the
a
day
top
fresh?
top 4 team in Prem, then he will easily become one of the best scouts in
Yeah.
Europe. That's for sure.
Like he needs to like catch up to the pace a little bit in some ways, just like a bit more like the team play aspects. But
He
he will
tries
be
to go for plays constantly, which
yeah. Like,
works in the lower tier.
he will be as good as anyone. Like as good as literally anyone. Um, yeah, but basically that meant quad. Quad left. Well, I didn't leave so much as I cut him because
Oh dear.
I don't know. He was just being quad. Like he wasn't playing good. Not bad enough that I would cut him just for that. But when you combine the fact that he's quad and he's just like he's half an hour late every other day, he doesn't show up. Like like there was one instance like it was like 7:30, like 20:30, and he joined Mumble after like 25 minutes of us spamming him. He joined Mumble and he's like, yeah, I'm here. And he's like, I'm like, can you join? He's like, no, I'm in a League of Legends game. So I'm like, fuck off.
What?
There's been 11 people on the server waiting for you. And he's like, oh yeah, it'll be over soon. And like 10 minutes later, he up. So I was just like, that kind of behavior combined with the fact, like, if he'd been on fire, I would have put up with him. And like, yeah, you know what, Quad, you're really good. You do what you want. But when you're playing, like, not very good and you're not really giving him much effort, and there's someone
And
like
Kyler's available.
someone like Kylo is there to replace you, it's like, you know, step up or fuck off. So yeah, we're just cutting basically.
Well, I understand completely. Which when we were in Infused, you know, we had the same sort of thing when he was turning up half an hour late. We were just getting like a merc every game, pretty much. Like, so
Yeah,
it's just standard we get a merc.
Yeah, I like Quad. I liked playing with him apart from like him dying all the time. But yeah, wasn't really.
Fair enough. Let's talk about the teams that have folded or will be folding. I guess.
Wait, did we talk about who you're getting in on Rome?
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about who you're getting in on Rome. I guess it is. Is it Rome or
Yeah,
Pocket?
yeah, we moved down after Pocket.
Oh, of course.
I think he's more comfortable there, and yeah, we got Flisco into Rome, which is pretty fucking sick. Like, originally, like when we started the team, not when we started the team. When I originally took over the team, I was gonna ask Flisco, but I couldn't do it to my boy Ramon. He joined up with Ramon's Downey Div 1 team or Div 2 team, so I let him fly for a season and then brought him home. But yeah, like none of that. I don't really know. It's kind of like I don't really know what's going on with our team. Like we haven't exactly finalized anything. Like I haven't said like 100% to anyone like let's make this team. We're kind of waiting on the medic because we haven't found a medic yet.
Okay. Can you divulge who you've asked or who can't be it or what? Or do you just want to leave it how it is?
We've played with a couple guys. We've been playing with the sucker this week. So far, I've enjoyed playing with him the most. But we're working on something in the background. We're not going to be doing anything until we find out 100% which way that's going to go with this other guy. But I'm not going to mention because he hasn't expressed any direct interest yet. But we think there's a chance. But I'm not going to disrespect him and drop his name out.
Is it Bite?
Yeah. No, I begged Bite to join, but he was just like, no, mate. Top tier only.
All right, let's talk about the folded teams then. MyDGB obviously have folded. They tried to make a new iteration of their team, and as we've just heard, Kyler left to go and join BFF, and I think Harblu couldn't commit because of something or other. It's like I think his semester was clashing, and then Retshot couldn't be bothered to play, so they are officially not going to bother next season. Or sorry, that's the MyDGB and Doctrinal like remake that they tried to do, the way it combined the two teams. And then QN, as before, they stated they were going to fold at the end of the season. I don't think they have the time, unfortunately, this season with like the exams and everything coming up. They decided to fold after however many seasons in Prem and however many seasons in ETF2 World. Although Bevan was banned for a couple of their seasons, wasn't he? So I
think did I hear something about Crits Knight and Fuo maybe trying to like remake the team again? Just not like obviously remake the team, but just get a bunch of new players again.
Really?
I think I heard something about that. Yeah, I don't think it's anything like that far along at the moment, but obviously as the deadline for sign-ups get closer, something might come out of the woodwork.
Do you know when the next season actually starts? I don't have any idea.
Actually, I have the dates. Sonny Black pasted them to me earlier. Sign-ups open on the 15th to the 23rd. Seedings will be on the 24th to the 26th. Blah, 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 blah. Main season, May the 5th to June the 22nd.
Okay, so it's actually quite like it's a month away before it starts, but it's
yeah, like all reorganization stuff starts within the next couple of weeks, really.
Cool. Well, the teams that do actually get promoted up, obviously the team that won Div 1 was Solar. I think that's Skeeja's team, isn't it? So they've been promoted up to Prem, which is good for them. And then Web 1 beat QN in that relegation/promotion match. I don't think QN had played for like 2 weeks other than just that game, so it wasn't surprising that Web 1 managed to take that. I think it was just in 2 maps as well, so congratulations to Web 1. Both those teams get promoted. That means we get like 2 new teams in Prem next season, which is really awesome. As for the other spots, there's 3 more or 2 open spots. Is that right? 2 open spots, I think. We've written down here some of the candidates, or Zavi has, or Cadus has, whoever wrote this list. I'm not 100% sure. We have obviously the new Finnish team.
Wait, what?
Dan's new team. Do you guys have the Dan's new team's lineup there?
Not even Dan has the Dan's team lineup.
Isn't it gonna? I know Evil Moon's most likely on medic.
Like
Himsy will be in there in some form.
No.
Salmon's in there.
It's yes. Okay. Let me go with it. Basically, when they started out, they had Himsy on demo, Dan on pocket, Salmon on Roma, Delzik and Ruler on scout with Evil Moon on medic. But we played them today, and they had some Finnish name I've never heard of on medic, Delzik and some guy called Super on scout, Dan and Salmon on pocket still. Dan and Salmon on soldier still. Blair and Tomsy on demo. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know about Evil Moon. I don't know if he's just away or something, or maybe that was Evil Moon wearing a different nickname. I don't know. But Himsy's gone. They tried Zappis for a while, but Zappis decided he didn't want to play, like TF2 at all, I think. So now I think Dan's kind of scratching his head. And if he doesn't find some suitable players soon, I think he's going to pack it in with a project.
Okay.
I mean, they were looking pretty strong, originally, on paper. They had good players, but naturally, obviously, Himsy was always going to fucking quit, always.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, it's unlucky that they lost Zappis, because I thought Zappis would be, the perfect player for them, and I thought he was reliable, but I guess he just decided not to play. But, I don't know, they're looking iffy at the moment, it's got to be said.
Yeah, and even if they do manage to stick together, would they get Prem with that sort of lineup, do you reckon?
I couldn't really tell you, to be honest.
It depends on the other contenders, really.
LMS is the only other team I've played, and LMS definitely looks stronger than them at the moment. But that's still, even if LMS go in, that's still one open spot. And honestly, I haven't played any of the other Div 1 teams apart from LMS, so I couldn't really compare Dan's team to the Div 1 standard. But if Dan's team get their shit together, if they find a suitable scout, then I think they'll probably be the best candidate if they find a good scout. Because Delzik is fresh, he's got crazy aim, but he's I've never heard of him basically, apart from the last couple of days when I played him, and he's got crazy aim. That's apparent. I don't really know who he is, so I'm guessing he doesn't really have that much experience. So without a decent scout partner, they're going to be a bit lost. But I think if they get one, they're probably the best candidate.
Okay. That's fair enough. And do we want to talk about the LMS lineup then? Zabi, you're probably the best to talk about this, because I have no idea what you've written here whatsoever.
This week in Russian Corner, basically, LMS are in between rosters at the moment. The only things that are fixed is White Glow, GDK, Ordinator, Rico, and Forsaken are all going to be in the team in some form or the other. They have 3 options at the moment. White Glow and GDK are obviously always going to be the demo medic. The first option is Audi and Empty are the soldiers, and then Rico and Forsaken are scouts. The second option is the old school lineup, where Ordinator and Forsaken will be on soldier, and Rico and Reds will be on scout. And the third option is the same, except instead of Reds, they have Sickless, because Reds' performances have been sucking compared to what it used to be.
Okay.
So they want to get maybe Sickless in or maybe Forsaken in. It all depends on basically what the core players decide who they want, decide what fits best. They try all the different rosters in the weeks leading up to sign-ups. So they'll make a decision based on that. But they seem pretty confident they're going to get Prem.
I think they probably should.
I
got a feeling that a team with typical I like to spin team is going to pop up. I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but he has a knack of always showing up on one of these teams. It just kind of looks like they go through the recruitment section, click Prem, and kind of just mix and match the players into a team a day before the season starts. It always kind of seems to happen.
Kind of like a last resort, just I want to play this season.
Yeah.
Let's get everyone together who wants to play.
So kind of off the top of my head, I'm looking at it right now. I'm going to predict I like to
That
spin on
war will
medic,
be in there.
war on demo, lime and salt on soldier, rake and some random scout. Like I reckon a team like that will show up. Pick Greg. He can be infused.
Greg 2013.
Right. Well, if I'm going to pick one of the LMS teams, I think I would love to see them have their original lineup back and get into Prem and have a shot at Prem with their original lineup. It'd be really, really cool to get that to actually happen. What do you guys think of their lineups? Which one would you rather see?
I can't even fucking remember them.
I think the ones with Forsaken on Soldier obviously are a lot stronger because I think Forsaken's one of their strongest players when he's on Rome and when he's on form, especially now gunboats are a thing. And between Reds and Sicklers, like I do prefer Reds, but he has been like he either needs to step it up or get cut, really, because he's not as good as he used to be. And Sicklers can at least hit stuff.
All right, fair enough. Well, I think that's us pretty much covering all the teams that are going on. Maybe we should talk about the rules and maps and stuff. You've obviously someone's written this here. Zabby's written this here. But what's the difference? What are they going to change in season 15? Are they going to be trying to do this NA rule set, or is this going to be way down the line, or what's happening?
I actually wrote this down. And,
I was hoping you'd jump in because I was like, oh god, please don't come to me. I have nothing.
yeah, I honestly I have no idea what the admins have planned. I just wrote it down kind of like because normally we go off on a rant of some kind at this stage where it's like a few weeks away from the season. We go off on a rant about something, and an admin's listening and he catches on. So I was thinking maybe we could do that again. Like,
Okay,
we
well,
just make up a rule for Vanessa.
well, let's talk about.
Like-
We had the thread about the NA rule set and stuff like that happen, and we haven't actually spoken about it on Pirate Radio. So why don't we jump in here? Maybe we'll give like our 2 cents on it that will maybe get more recognition towards for other people. So, Cadis, I know you're a real advocate for the NA rule set. Do you want to go into it first to hear your side of it?
okay, there's several reasons why I think we should have it. Firstly, I don't really care about first to 5 versus win difference 5. Like, I really don't care about that. What I do like though is one map a week. There's a lot of reasons for that. Basically, I like one map a week because what it enables you to do is play 2 matches a week. Because obviously one map can last up to 60 minutes under the NA rule set, which means like for one map you get your money's worth, whereas one map like at the moment for just 30 minutes max is kind of like, you know, you show up, there's a 20-minute delay, there's a 10-minute pause, and ultimately you end up seeing less TF2 than you do like a fucking splash screen with DJC talking over the top of it. Like,
the
so
only reason I tune in.
yeah, so the main reason I like it is that you get to play 2 matches a week, like each team, which means like being good on the, like one day. Like, okay, the way it is at the moment, say there's like a 2-horse race for Prem, say it's Broder and Epsy. This season they played on a day where Broder were out of shit and Epsy were firing on all cylinders, and that was 6 points. 6 fucking points went on one day's gameplay, and that basically decided the season. I mean, obviously there was other stuff that could have happened, but ultimately the season was decided there and then. So I think that's terrible. So I think playing 2 matches a week, like spread out, like it is just better. Like you get more matches, there's more things to spectate. But also, and perhaps more importantly, well, as importantly, it makes the introduction of new maps to the map pool a lot better. As it happens at the moment, you add a new map to the map pool, or a map that's less popular, say like Gravel Pit, and you never play it. Like you play it like 2 days before the match, and then you play it in the match. But with one map a week, it's like everyone is playing that map, and they're playing it for a week. So it's like, say it's Gravel Pit, everyone's got to play GPit for a week. So when the GPit matches come up, you have teams that are really fresh and well practiced on GPit, and they just have to play it for a week. So if you don't like the map, you play it for a week, and then it's gone. You don't see it again. So you actually get decent games. But like with the current system, say there's GPit like twice, say someone wildcards, like, and then you actually end up playing like GPit on and off over like the space of 4 weeks or whatever, and it just gets really fucking messy. Or say it's a new map, like you get a proper week, like you just nail down, you practice that map for a week, and you can really judge it. Like you play it for a week, and you can properly judge the map for what it is, rather than just like playing it on and off like a couple times here and there. Like you really don't get a good opinion of the map. So that's really like where I'm coming from with it. I just think it makes like, because you look at NA, they've got so many, like they add maps all the time, and after one season they can look at this map and say, right, this map is good or this map is shit. Whereas you have EU, and we played Obscure for a season or two, didn't play it for a season or two, brought it back, took it away. Same deal with Freight, brought it back, took it away, brought it back. That's just because a lot of the time you don't play it properly. You don't feel like you really know the map. You didn't
You
give it a
don't
proper
play it
chance.
until you have to. Like if it's not till
Yeah.
week 6 or something, you'll just put it off for an event, and then you'll play it like in like 2 or 3 days worth of PCWs, and there's not really enough time to get a feel for the map or to. Whereas if you had to play it like 3 times a night for a week, it'd be a lot easier to refine stuff on it. And I think even in the standard maps, it just means teams across the divisions would all get better at those maps because
Yeah.
be able to play it a lot more consistently. Because you play Badlands, you play shit, you go whatever. We'll play Snake Water now, and you forget about Badlands. You don't really.
Yeah.
Because if you play Badlands, and then you have to play Badlands again, and you're still losing, you're forced to think about what's going wrong and what you need to change.
Yeah, because like I said, like at the moment, say a typical night of PCWs, like you say, you play one map, you do crap on it, you discuss what you think you should change, like as most teams will do, but then 5 minutes later you're playing Gully Wash, and by the time you actually come back
Everything
to
you said
Badlands,
is
you can't,
irrelevant.
yeah, you don't fucking remember anything you said. So I think that's a really nice thing about it. But yeah, I'd really like to see like more maps tested. So that's a big part of where I'm coming from, because like whenever you add a new map at the moment, it's such a fucking drag, because it's like, say like you come to it in week 3 and then you play it a little bit in week 3 and then it's week 4 and a team that still has their week 3 game to play, they want to play that in PCWs, so you're playing it again, and then the week after that it's there again. It's like it stretches, like you're playing a map you hate over the course of like 3 or 4 weeks on and off. So it's just like a drag. It's like, oh, we only have to play it, and then we'll play another team that doesn't want to play this map. So you don't play it properly, and but you play it enough that you despise playing it, but you don't play it enough you actually get to grips with it. I don't know. I just prefer that system by a fucking country mile, to be honest. I could like talk all day about it.
Okay, well, should we like think about something else? That like one of the main things you're talking about here is you play 2 matches a week, right? Obviously, is that something that's in European TF2 that we never ever wanted to do? You know, we've always had the option of playing 2 leagues. We've always had the option of playing ETF2 Island Wildplayer, something like that, and it never really kicks off or never really happens because most teams don't really want to have to play 2 officials a week. Most teams are like, I will just play 1 official a week and we'll PCW the rest of the week. And that's basically what's happened in European TF2 for ages. Like you look at all these other esports like Dota, and most of the top Dota teams are playing officials every single night. They're pretty much playing an official every single night, if not only officials, and trying to PCW whenever they can. Like, is that something that the community is going to reject?
I think they'll reject the idea of it, but I think in practice they'll find it's actually not such a big deal. Like, on the one hand, like playing a match, it becomes much less of a big deal. It's just like, yeah, we got a match tonight. Like you watch like NA streams, it's like they come onto their mumble, like, and if some guy's like, all right, we're playing tonight, we got a match tonight, and they're like, all right, cool, we'll play the match tonight, because they've been playing the map all fucking week anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Like they're ready. But like when EU, if you have two matches a week, that can mean you're playing 4 maps. Like you have to be ready to play 4 maps in the space of 3 days. Like you can't prepare for that. Like you just can't do it. But if it's the same map, because keep in mind you're playing 2 matches a week, but it's the same map, so your preparation is exactly the same. It's just on one night, instead of playing a PCW, you play a match instead. Like it's not that big a deal, I don't think.
I think
fair enough.
there's a bit of a culture of putting too much emphasis on matches in the UTF2. Like it seems much more of a bigger deal in general.
Yeah.
I think the only teams it's really going to affect are like you know the Finnish teams who will play once a week or something. It maybe will screw them over slightly, but then they're such a minority, like a small part of the league. It'd be worth it for the overall benefits to screw them over.
Even then, the match is only one map. In theory, like you see a lot of double headers in America as well. They play 2 matches in one night.
Okay, that's cool.
I don't know.
Keep going, Kadis. I was going to mention something else. So
I was just gonna say, like, people seem to think it's a big deal, but I think if they actually gave it a go, they'd find it really weren't.
Right. Well, I want to talk about what you mentioned right at the beginning of your whole talking about it. It was whether you wanted win difference or win limit of 5, and Kirch in the Twitch chat has mentioned it as well. I personally love having a win difference of 5, where if you have a time limit of 60, having the win difference of 5 enables you in the first half an hour to not really end up playing this defensive style of TF2 that European TF2 is like, evolved into. So in that first half an hour, you'll play this aggressive thing, like in the current TF2, where you play the first 15 minutes sort of aggressive, and then the last 15 minutes, if you're winning, you're like, oh, we'll start playing a little more defensive. That kind of like brings these 2 different aspects of TF2 together, like how well you can defend and how well you can attack. And like, obviously, a lot of sports are all about the difference between attack and defense, and like this sort of counterbalance. TF2, a lot of people start pointing out that attack is what should be happening, but that's not. Like not all sports are like that. You should be able to just sit back and defend if you want to. But like the fact that you have a 60-minute map means that you're actually going to be playing at this attacking sort of game for like 30 minutes plus, maybe 45 minutes, and then the last 15 minutes will be when this defensive sort of thing happens. Then the tension starts, everything starts to escalate inside the game. Like, I personally feel that would be a much, much better way of doing it than trying to make a win limit 5, because a win limit 5, I feel, makes it even less likely that if you're in that defensive position on second, you don't want to push into middle. Like, from my point of view, that if you're on second, you will never push to middle in that situation, because you don't need to. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think like when it's Badlands, I think that would be great. But when because unless the game is kind of a roll, like where one team's much better than the other, what you're going to be looking at is a lot of 60-minute games, or games that get close to 60 minutes. And like a lot of NA games, they're like 35, 40 minutes, which is I think a pretty good length really. But like when you say you're playing like Granary or these really shit boring maps, like I don't really think I like the idea of knowing that a Granary game is going to last 60 minutes almost every time I play it, unless I'm getting raped.
All right. Well, maybe we don't completely take the NA rules, and maybe we make it a 20-minute time limit for each half, and then we have a 40-minute maximum. Or maybe we make it 25 each half, and then we have a 50-minute maximum, and then it's not quite as bad. Yeah, it's still that extra length that means that we're not seeing this passive gameplay. Do you not think that we could change that ruling, keep win limit or win difference even, and that would make TF2 in Europe slightly better, or slightly, keep our evolution, like, and not make us just a direct copy of the Americans?
Yeah, maybe. Like, it's definitely not a bad idea, but
It'd be interesting to see how many games in Prem, for example, actually went to win difference 5. So how many games we would actually be saying are going to be that long.
yeah. My thing is like, from watching NA games, when I watch them, I never think, God, I miss win difference. Like only when it's a really short game, which really in invite isn't that often. The only time it's a really short game is where it's gonna be a rape anyway, like a top team
Doesn't
playing like
matter,
the
yeah.
number 8. Like the rest of the time when it's like decent teams playing each other, I never really think I miss win limit 5 or I wish they play in win limit 5. It doesn't really happen very often. So for me, while I don't really mind, like whatever's simplest and gets like the other things I talked about, like 2 matches a week and that kind of thing, like 1 map a week, 2 matches. Like the simplest way to implement that system is really like my priority when it comes to this. Because I think that's what I really like about the NA system. Like they win difference 5, win limit 5. I'm happy with either, to be perfectly honest. Whatever brings about, whatever brings about 2 matches in a week, the simplest way is really what I'd be in favor of at the end of the day.
All right. Well, the only reason that I am like trying to like keep this like win difference 5 in Europe is just because we've kind of evolved for so long over win difference 5, and it's made our TF2 different. And I don't want to lose the way that we play TF2. And we play 40. If for half an hour you play much more aggressively because you get an extra bit of time to play the match, then that'll make it more interesting. And then you still get this really tense bit at the end. Like I always, if a team goes 4-0 up, I mean this doesn't happen very often, but I remember playing some like Prem game where we went 4-0 up against Yo-Yo Tech and we lost 7-4. Like, I know obviously that's a bit different, but apparently, do you understand what I mean by that? Yeah, I do like parking the bus. Exactly, ads. Exactly. It's part of like every sport. It's part of every sport. And I feel that just because TF2 is an esport doesn't mean that we should remove that sort of aspect from it.
Just flicking through Prem results, the vast majority of results aren't going above 5 rounds anyway. Like,
Snap.
one team or the other. So, yeah.
The ones that do tend to be quite arbitrary as well.
It's like,
like,
it's 5-1, for example, or
like
it's
6-2, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like when it actually goes over 5, most of the time it's completely arbitrary. Like 7-2, 6-2. Like it could have been win limit 5 and it wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah. Whereas, like, a lot of the other games all seem to be within 2 to 3 rounds of, like, between the two teams, which means in, like, the win difference, you'd end up playing the full time limit, and say you're setting it at 60. Obviously, it wouldn't last the full 60, but it'd still be towards the upper end, like 40, 50 minutes.
It's obviously, like, we're trying to help, we're trying to discuss this, but like, it's down to the ETF2 admins, like, it's a tough decision, really, and the simplest thing to do is just to take the direct NA rule set, really, like all day long.
But I watch a lot of American TF2, and I never feel like I'm missing out. Like I'm never gone like, Well, so obviously,
Really?
if you see a sick game, you wish it went on longer, but that's the same at the end of like a 30-minute game in EU. If it was really close, you'd be like a Broda the Epsilon final, you go, oh god, I wish there was another 2 maps for no particular reason.
Yeah. Another thing to consider is the whole thing of like a unified rule set. Like the Americans are never gonna change, and like I don't think they should really. But at the end of the day, like they're working under like ESCA, and it's a big establishment, and they doesn't really have this kind of community input in the same way TF2 does. So I think a unified rule set would be brilliant if it were to happen. And at the end of the day, I think it can only ever happen if EU changes.
Yeah, all right, that's fair enough. I think we've pretty much exhausted what we want to say here, unless anyone has any last remarks about it they want to add.
Didn't really talk about maps.
Okay. Well, if we change to NA, obviously, it'd be awesome to get like a 7-map pool or whatever it is. So you have, the map.
Yeah.
Exactly the same as NA is what I'm trying to say here, basically. What do you guys think of the maps this season? Like, what did they even add anything? They just removed everything, didn't they? I can't really think.
This season was like, was it? I don't know if it's the same as last season, but I think it, these five maps we have at the moment, they're good. Like none of them should really go, but it's been the same for a couple seasons now, and it's getting a little bit stale. Like played Snakewater 3 times this season. Like everyone like most people know I fucking hate Snakewater. Like why the fuck do we play Snakewater 3 times a season? It's just it's ridiculous. Like why did we play the same map 3 times? 3 fucking times in one season. Like a 7 week season we play the same map 3 times. It's terrible. The same with Granary. I think Granary is only twice this season, but like everyone has their maps they don't like, and everyone has their maps they do like. So like I don't know, just keep it the same. Like don't make people play shit they don't like because it literally ends up you're practicing Snakewater almost like. Well, for me, I'm practicing
For the
Snakewater
entire
like
stretch.
for the entire bloody season. You're playing Snakewater, and if you hate the map, then it sucks. But like if you're only playing it like 1 map a week, like I'm going back into this old fucking discussion again. God, I think we should add Viaduct. I'll go with it.
Yeah.
We should add Viaduct.
I think Gravel Pit should come back as well. I think Viaduct
Yeah.
and Gravel Pit are 2 maps that should be still in the map pool.
Yeah, that would be absolutely perfect for me next season with like 1 map a week, 7 maps, add Viaduct, bring back Gravel Pit. Because the problem with Gravel Pit was always that no one played it. Like
This new
the
system.
yeah, the good thing about Gravel Pit was the tactical element to it, but that's completely fucking lost when teams play it twice a year. Like it's great, it's a fucking great map to watch when it's played properly, but you don't see it played properly if no one wants to practice it. So if it was 1 map a week, then I'd be 100% in favor of bringing Gravel back, and I think Viaduct should be in either way. Viaduct is a really good map. I wasn't a fan of it before. I can't honestly tell
The
you.
original version or the pro.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, that's
once
one.
the pro version came out, it's so much better. Is what I always think of
Yeah.
it. Like
That's absolutely true.
Like the original version, there are some sniper lines which you can see like to the doorways as they run out of spawn, pretty much, and it's just like insta headshots, and it's just stupid. But they've changed a lot of it. They've added the extra side door. I think it's a much smoother map now, and like it's like the tactical gameplay of it. When like I've casted a few NA games of it, and I've watched a few, and it's so much fun to spectate. I love spectating Viaduct, even sorry, as I say Gravel Pit instead. I love spectating Gravel Pit as well. But that's like I feel that that adds extra having these sort of different maps in it, the different styles, the King of the Hill and the Gravel Pit A B sort of thing.
Something
I
else I really
think
like.
as well. Oh.
Awkward. Something else I really like about Viaduct as well is because people will argue it's boring because it's all just fighting for the same point over and over again. But like, this isn't really my point, but that makes it good in my opinion for a start. Like, because you can just explore the same point in different ways. Like, and it's like it makes it very tactical because it's one point and it's all about manipulating that point in different ways. Whereas on a 5CP map, like there's just too much to remember to keep it really that tactical. You just go with the flow. But what I really like about Viaduct is how it impacts the game as a whole. Like, because you're putting so much emphasis on how to push and pull this one point that it actually like it completely develops your team, like how you push points and how you hold points, and just like the back and forth of Uber exchanges. Like I think just playing Viaduct really trains teams really well, and it carries over to other maps.
It's also worth pointing out that it makes you like watch the spawn timers a lot more. Like if you watch the Americans play 5CP maps, if they have someone go down early, and then eventually they trade later, they know that they're going to have the spawner there faster sort of thing, and they play off the spawn advantage just because of that. And in Viaduct, obviously the team that doesn't have the point spawns a lot faster, so you can like try and play this rush point sort of thing, and it helps you develop different sort of strategies that we haven't really seen in Europe.
you see classic mix-up do it all the time, where like Ruin or something will go in to try and make a play, then the rest of the team will commit later, and then Ruin will come in the second wave, and they just make the fight go on for so long that their spawners get there first, and they eventually win the fight, just because they're happy to continue to sacrifice people to win the fight in the long run, which you never really see in Europe, like at least as intentionally as the Americans do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we've kind of exhausted map discussion. Unless anyone has one more, like a few last things they want to say, I kind of want to go to bed. It's quite late now.
Well, just with Viaduct, the Americans have proved it can work. Like they've had it in their season for quite a few seasons now, in their league for quite a few seasons even. So it's not like it'd be that risky a decision really at all.
Yeah, no, it's like looking back on things, I don't really understand how it's never even really been a serious contender before. Like there were a few polls that had it in and it got like 20% vote, like approval vote or something, but like I don't know, it seems obvious to me like it should just be in, and it's like as simple as that. Like I can't think of any other maps either, like because I think a new map really has to go in next season. It's like it's getting boring now, like really boring. We're kind of at where we were before. Like thinking back to the map competition, which was kind of the last time the map pool got shook up at all. I feel like we're there again, where these maps are just getting stale and something new has to come in. But looking at the pool of possible maps, like Key or Metalworks. Like Metalworks looks like okay,
except for last point.
Yeah, it looks like okay at best. It's another one of these maps like you put it in and you bash at it for a couple seasons and it will probably work, but is it going to be like enjoyable at the end of the day? Is it going to be exhilarating? Probably not. Whereas I think Viaduct, it's just proven, like it's proven to work. Like it's there, it's on a fucking plate. I don't even know how. Like I don't know how it's got to this point. When like, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough, really. I think we've exhausted everything we need to talk about, really. If we go into any more, we're just going to keep repeating ourselves over and over again.
And we never do that.
No, never
Fill
at
the
all.
points home, man.
Speaking of which, go donate to the I-49 fundraiser. We mentioned it earlier, but go do it, please, guys. Or donate to any of the teams you like in Europe that are probably going to be needing money as well, as they finally realised that they can ask for money from the community as well. But that's it from us for this episode. Please do tune in next week. We're going to be doing our TF2 awards then. Hopefully get one of our nominees in and stuff like that at the right time. It'll be a really fun episode. Hopefully as well, Admirable and DJC might join us again. Like last time we had a 5-man group having a bit of fun, just chatting about it. It was I really enjoyed that episode. So hopefully we'll try and do the same again. That's it from me. If anybody else wants one last word.
Right. Shout out to Fribs, best upcoming Scout EU.
Right. See you later, guys.
Buzzing.